All right, what's going on? It's That Home Theater Dude. This is the official shootout of the SVS subwoofers. I have one SVS SB-4000 and I have one SVS PB-4000. So, I mean, just look at it. I mean, this is my main listening position. This is my, my soundstage, I guess. So I got this little guy over here, and I got this big, massive behemoth over here. So I wanted to make this video as true to form as possible, so I didn't want to have anything that could tilt the scales either way. I am geographically centered in the room. Both of these are more or less exactly positioned the same. So the only difference is that you have kind of like a, if you're looking at like an XYZ component, this is more of a XYZ. So this is more of a X component or Y, whichever. This one sticks out further because it's like at least 6 inches bigger than this one. So that's the only thing that's gonna be different in these videos. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a quick subjective measurement between the two, and then I want to do objective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a music track. I'm going to play a frequency sweep between 200, or actually it's a pretty large sweep. So I'll start it at 200 hertz, and I'll make it go down to all the way to I think to 10, and then I'll measure decibels with that. So basically, a lot of these tests are coming from decibels themselves and actual my approval and the wife's approval. So whichever we say goes is the one that we think is going to be the best one. So I have both of these set up exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the TV right now, and I'll show you guys the settings. So to know that I'm not goofing around on any of this and tipping the scales either way. So before I did this setup, I went ahead and adjusted everything exactly the same. So both of these are set to -5 on the trim. So you get a nice flat response on the actual trim itself. Gain is going to be a different thing. So now let's look at the speakers themselves. I don't need that. So I have 2 subwoofers set up. This Denon AVR is non-intuitive with their settings. So distances are set exactly the same because it's my main listening position. They're almost exactly the same. And then last one, actually I think I have 2 more. So the levels on these are set the same. They're both at -5, as you see down here. Boop, boop. They're both -5 decibels, which is pretty good. Almost any subwoofer application is going to tell you to set it up that way at -5. And then crossovers, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter for the subwoofer themselves. And then bass, I have it both on LFE and 100 hertz. So all my main speakers, my LFE and my surrounds, those are all set at 80 hertz. So it's feeding the rest of the signal to each subwoofer. So what I did here is I turned this one on and I turned that one off. They're both on the AVR. So whichever one I have on is the one that's going to be getting the signal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and queue up the actual video itself, and I'll do the sound test, I'll do the frequency sweep, and then I'll do a movie. And whichever one that the wife and I like are the ones that we're going to keep. So I'll go ahead and get that queued up, and I'll come back in a second. Okay, so this is phase 1 of the test I'm going to do. I'm going to use this simple app. This isn't ideal, but it's going to be the same equipment, same position, same everything that's going in between the two. So I mean, it's a good reference for all testing purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press reset right here. I'm going to start the frequency sweep. Well, I guess I'll have to reset it again before I start it. But I'll start the frequency sweep at 215 hertz. And then this thing records your max decibels. And that's one of the things that I'm most concerned with. So however much output this thing's putting out is pretty important to the main listening position. This is pretty much exactly my main listening position, so it's a good reference on what I would be hearing. So I'm going to press reset, be quiet, then I'll start the test. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. It got down to 8 hertz. I'll go ahead and repeat the test, but I'll show you the actual performance of the woofer itself. All right, so what I did is I did that quick test right now. I didn't show my fingers like I did with the decibel, but this thing got noticeably louder at 66 hertz, and it stayed loud until about 55 or so, and then it got loud again at 30, stayed loud with authority until about, I would say it dropped off about 19, 20, 18, somewhere in that range. This thing kind of goes pretty quick, but it's just a video from YouTube, so I'm just using it as reference. But that gives you good representation of what this thing does. I'll go ahead and come back, do the exact same test with the, turn this one off, I'll do the same test with the PB-4000. The same exact settings are on both of them. This is on -10 dB, this is factory reset, this is factory reset right over here. Ugh. This one is, whoop. This one is set on -10 too, and they both have the exact same settings. So this should be a, just one-on-one, exactly the same test. So I'll go ahead and get that one queued up, and I'll show the decibel video, and I'll show the actual subwoofer excursion video in a second. So hang tight. All right, so that was the subwoofer test for the PB-4000. Now, between these two, I would say that the PB-4000 got noticeably louder around 77 hertz, and it stayed loud until about, it had a slight dip at around 50, and then it gained again around 40, and then it just stayed loud until it dipped right under, I would say right around 18, 17 is whenever it started to trail off again. But that is just a quick reference between these two, and just to show you the frequency response between them. So now I'll actually go into music, and I'll go into a movie, and I'll make a decision after that.